But speaking about quarterbacks with money getting paid, I came up which quarterback are you gonna trust 2024? Both are paid, both are veteran quarterbacks, both are coming off the exact injuries, which is the Achilles.
Oh,
Aaron
I knew we
Rodgers
were going
or
there.
Kirk Cousins? Which
Oh,
QB you want to go with in 2024?
Woo, man. Let me tell you, PSP, you are something else for this one. You a fool for this one. In great words of Jay-Z. But
Also, too, Mama PSP also helped me came up with that as well. Mama PSP.
mhm. Hey man, shout out to Mama PSP, man. Hey man, look, I don't trust Aaron Rodgers about as far as I can throw myself, and I can't even pick myself up right now. So, so
oh,
I'm going with Kirk Cousins. Just being real. So, yeah, I wouldn't trust. Yeah, no, no. How flaky you are, and how you look at Kirk Cousins, man. He's been down. Look here, we're not going to mistake talent because if you judge talent for talent, resume for resume,
it's not even close.
Kirk Cousins is it's not even close. Aaron Rodgers smokes him by a mile, maybe by 2-3 miles, and he could probably take a nap and eat a brownie on the rest of the way. But
Right.
so when it comes to talent, it's no question. But the thing is, look at how Kirk Cousins he's going to his new team in our Atlanta Falcons, BRF. He's down there in the locker room. He's down there in training camp. He's down there in front of the media. He's conducting meetings. He's talking about how he has, how he's excited, how he talked to Michael Penix Jr., although it was reported that he was blindsided by it. He immediately came out and said, oh, yeah, I've already talked to him. He's anxious to get in camp and everything like that. Look at what he's doing versus what Aaron Rodgers is doing right about now. People can talk about the contract all they want to. Even I had my sentiments about the contract. I don't hide from it. But the thing is this: look at what he's doing. Look how he's out in front of the media, getting ahead of everything right now. Look how he's conducting himself in training camp, building a rapport. I mean, getting with your receivers and getting with the backup quarterback that is about to replace you within the next 2 years. Calling him up after the draft. That's a sign of leadership. Those are the intangibles that a Peyton Manning has, that a Tom Brady has, that a Joe Montana has. Not being on TV when your team is in the middle of what can be considered to be a Super Bowl or bust year, where you can have a playoff run, where you can have a Super Bowl or bust year. Not being on TV talking smack about a comedian that's not even in the football community. So as far as who I want this year, it's not just because I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. It's because, hey, I put my management and my ownership eyes on when I see these quarterbacks. And who's the quarterback doing all the right things right now? Got to be Kirk Cousins by a mile, so I'm taking him.
You also want to take Kirk Cousins to Magic City. Let's not act or pretend as if you don't want
Hey
to do
man,
that.
I wish Follies was still open, man.
Oh
Still
Lord.
open, man. Maybe go to King of Diamonds too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh Jesus.
BRF, which quarterback you going with? Rodgers or Kirk?
I mean, Champ pretty much nailed everything. He pretty much nailed everything on the head. Like, yeah, you look at the resume. It's not. It's not even close. But you have to look at actions. You have to look at their actions. Since they joined the franchise, and Kirk Cousins has pretty much been Kirk Cousins has pretty much been down for the cause since day one. I mean, the pressers. Every just everything that the Atlanta Falcons have done. That whether it's the PR team, I think I'll just go ahead and say it right here. The Atlanta Falcons had the best schedule release video out of any team in the National Football League. You can argue with your mama. I don't care. They used NFL Street. They used an NFL Street style video for their NFL schedule release video. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's one of the coolest things you will ever see in your lifetime. They had the best schedule release video of the year. Not and I feel like it's not even close. Kirk Cousins has just been he has exemplified everything you're supposed to do coming in as the new franchise quarterback of your new team, and he's come in and he's done everything right. Even with the Michael Penix thing, like everybody's talking about, because I'm one of those I'm one of those who might be in the minority who understood and liked the pick, because whether people want to admit it or not, the pick makes sense. Whether people want to admit it or not, I was one of those who felt that way. The fact that he came out and just was a leader through all of that, and now was in OTAs, is going to go to minicamp, building the chemistry with his wide receivers. I'm expecting big things from him, but he's expecting big things of himself, and That's what I respect about Kirk Cousins coming to Atlanta. He knows the pressure that's going to be on him. He knows the pressure that's going to be put on him, particularly by the city and by the fans who have had crappy quarterback play, to say the least, over the last 2 seasons. So he's coming in with pressure, but he's coming in with the mindset like, I want to be here. I want to help this team win. I want to help this team get as far as they can possibly go with the talent that's been assembled here. And I respect Kirk Cousins every day he's here. This question should be Aaron Rodgers. The answer should be Aaron Rodgers because of his resume and what he's done in the National Football League. The problem is his leadership with the Jets right now is terrible. He's not showing anything. Basically running his mouth more than he's running on the football field, and that needs to change for the New York Jets to make progress going into the new season. So just for his leadership qualities alone, you have to go with Kirk Cousins.
I'm going with Kirk Cousins because I think, unlike Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins' game is not predicated on mobility. And I would know Kirk Cousins because he used to play for my Commanders. And Kirk Cousins has always been a very consistent quarterback. One thing about him, he puts up numbers. He's great with the deep ball. He's going to find a way to get guys involved, particularly Kyle Pitts. I want to see how he and Kyle Pitts, because now finally Kyle Pitts has a quarterback to work with, going back to Matt Ryan in his last few years in the NFL. But finally, it's better than what you previously had with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, which that didn't turn out so well. Gotten to a point, Champ has used the coin term, Desmond Ridder couldn't pass gas even if you fed him refried beans. With Kirk Cousins, his game is not predicated on mobility, even though he can move around a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, his game is known for mobility because of what he can do, the types of throws he makes inside and outside the pocket. You look at the rapport that he's having, Kirk Cousins, which has been great. He's being exactly what a leader is supposed to do. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, the antithesis. You look at the division, Atlanta should easily win this division. They should be in the conversation with the teams, and they're just as loaded offensively, just like the Jets. You have Bryce Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Hell, Champ wouldn't mind having a T. Higgins on his team. He would love to have another wide receiver to complement that offense. And of course, you have the defense. Now, the only thing Champ disagreed with the Michael Penix, he wanted Dallas Turner because he wanted a pass rusher. And I told Champ, hey, you might as well. I told Champ about Montez Sweat. BRF wanted to get his hands on Montez Sweat. I've been trying to tell Champ about Montez Sweat, man. That dude is a beast. I think Atlanta, they should win this division because when you look at Tampa, yes, Baker Mayfield is coming off a great season. Shout out to Baker. Happy he got his money. But is Baker Mayfield, can he replicate that again? And then when you look at the Saints, I don't want to get into champ with Derek Carr. We already know how champ feels about Derek Carr at this point.
And
He is what he is.
funny story about that, man. I have to tell this story because BRF checked me on a story about to tell. BRF
Go
checked
ahead.
me when that Derek Carr free agency first happened because I predicted New Orleans to win that division the minute that
So
they
did
got
I.
it. Yeah, I did. And the first person who came out and said, no, and I give him the credit for the statement that I always say, you know football better than that, because he actually said that in that video. He said, you know better than that. You know Derek Carr's not going to do anything on his team. And he was absolutely right. If you go back and look at that video, that was a flat out, I mean, he was flat out round the money, BRF was. And man, I salute you for that because you warned me about Derek Carr. So I thought they was going to immediately shoot to the top of this division.
And
I thought he was wrong by Raiders and everything. So I mean, you was absolutely right in that case right there, bro.
Now and I'll say this too real quick. I remember that video too, because when I made that video, one of my mutuals, DJ, if you're seeing this, shout out to you. He's a big, he's a Saints fan. So of course, he was kind of like, he's a Saints fan. So he sees Derek Carr. He's like, oh yeah, we got this. And I'm just like, okay, y'all keep telling yourself this. I mean, Derek Carr's. I'll say this. I feel kind of bad because I was one of those when the debate was going on the year before Derek Carr's last year with the Raiders. I was one of those. I was on the Derek Carr side, but I felt like the numbers kind of backed that up when he was with the Raiders, just from the standpoint of he didn't necessarily have the talent that Kirk Cousins had with Minnesota, and Derek Carr was putting up comparable, if not better, numbers. And it was something about his swag that I like, which is why I kind of rolled with Derek Carr. But it was that last year with the Raiders getting Devontae Adams and basically not doing anything. I'm just like, no, I'm out. I'm out on him. I'm out on him. And then I heard the New Orleans Saints acquired him. I'm like, so. Okay, yeah. Y'all gonna pick the New Orleans Saints to win the division because of Derek Carr. If you're doing that with a straight face, I'm questioning your judgment. I'm questioning your full-on judgment. So
But BRF, in fairness to champ, is it fair to say that okay, yes, Derek Carr, but at the same time, simultaneously, look at the other quarterbacks coming into that season. Baker Mayfield, 4 teams in 6 years. Bryce Young, a rookie, who the Carolina Panthers drafted with the number 1 overall pick, not C.J. Stroud. They traded the Chicago Bears, who had the number 1 overall pick. They traded that pick, and Chicago ended up getting first-round picks and DJ Moore. And then on top of that, you look at the Atlanta Falcons. To Champ's point, Desmond Ridder couldn't pass gas even if you fed him refried beans. You had to deal with Arthur Smith as far as a play caller and how he was as a head coach. So is that fair to say that, you know what? Of all the teams, I lean towards Derek Carr because even though he's not the best quarterback in the world, but compared to the other quarterbacks in that division and compared to the other coaches, who we have to trust.
I hear where you're coming from, but also at the same time, I still look at the supporting cast of those 4 teams. At the end of the day, Atlanta was still the best supporting cast of those 4 teams. I felt, even with Tampa having guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, even with Carolina having an underrated defensive line, defensive front 7. I'm still looking at the Falcons and the supporting cast and what they're bringing to the table. When you're saying All the quarterback doesn't have to do is screw up, and they're going to win this division. All the quarterback has to do is not screw up. They win this division. They are still the most talented team in this division. When you're saying that, that's still kind of like, I'm still kind of leaning with the Falcons. But the problem was the quarterback screwed up. The quarterback did not play well. The quarterback play screwed it up. Thus,
not just the
opening
quarterback, the head coach too. Office
Well-
looked clueless, especially that last game. You remember, even Champ defended Jameis Winston. Remember how Shannon Sharp, and we'll get into Shannon Sharp in just a second. Remember how Shannon Sharp said, I would have cut Jameis Winston?
Yeah, for what? I mean, didn't nobody get mad? I'm gonna look. If the team didn't get mad, then nobody get mad except Arthur Smith because they knew he wasn't gonna get past the locker room before they packed his bags and sat him outside the stadium in the first place. So nobody get mad at him. So guess what? If the defense ain't mad, the team ain't out there squabbling and fighting, and guess what? They obviously didn't take it hard as he did. Like I said, Arthur Smith knew they was about to pack his bag, knew that he was about to get his walking papers and got to get his bags packed. That's why he got upset. Well, that's Bush League. Yeah, of course, because you know you're about to get fired. So, I mean, hey, I'd be mad too if I knew I was about to get fired and somebody knocked something off my desk. That's all it's equivalent to. You knowing you about to get fired and somebody knocking something off your desk, a piece of paperwork off your desk. That's all that was. And guess what? Hey, they wanted to get Jamal Williams his touchdown for the year so he can get a piece of his contract. I don't blame him not one bit. So guess what? You up out of there, and rightfully so. You didn't do anything with the talent that we had. You were supposed to be this offensive guru from the Tennessee Titans, and you proved to be exact opposite of that. So good riddance to you. Bye-bye.
And it's not just that. How do you manage to go 7-10 3 straight years? How do you, how? Just how? Even I mean now the 2021 team, I get that. A lot of team like nobody expected the 2021 team to really do anything, even with Matt Ryan still there. This close to making the playoffs. 2022, okay, yeah, you bring in Marcus Mariota, but you still have a really talented squad. Okay, you should do something. 7-10. All right, 2023, you go get Jesse Bates. You make all the moves you made in the offseason on that defense. I mean, that defense is looking scarier than it's looked in years. Okay, here you go. And then 7-10 again because you put all your faith in Desmond Ridder. Now, don't get me wrong. I wanted to see what he could do because I mean he's got some arm strength. I mean he's got some ability. I mean give it a shot. But at some point it was just like, oh, you're cringing when he's throwing the ball because you don't know what's gonna happen. So it was just, yeah, the New Orleans game. I feel like, yeah, I mean at that point the season's over. I mean what can you do? Now I will say this though. I think those players. There's still a little pride there. And I think those players, if I'm those players, I still file it away. You keep it as a receipt because you don't see them twice this year. It's like, okay, we remember what you did in New Orleans that last game. Watch what happened in these 2 games this year. You keep a little receipt. But I mean, yeah, that's one of those things where it's like Arthur Smith knew the writing was on the wall. He knew he was about to go. So yeah, that was kind of like deflection, emotions coming out because he knew what was about to happen. And sure enough, bam. First chance Atlanta found the first chance the front office got, they booted him and deservedly